Let them hate. Let them hate. Let the hate boil. Let them hate. Let them dislike you. Yesterday we did let yourself or be a disappointment. I think we take that just a bit further. Just let them hate. Let them be mad, yo. I've said before, people have kind of pushed back. I like the idea. I theorize that we all exist in separate and unique worlds, that the words we say, the labels we give to things, the associations we make, the separations we make, the separations we've agreed to with our peer groups, the people in our neighborhoods, in our identity groups, um, in our groupings, in our proximities, our peers and family, that we create a world. We create a sense of the world. There is a world, but we create a sense of the world from that perspective, shared and agreed upon with our peer groups. And in our early stages of life, that's where we find love. That's how we understand ourselves. That's how we learn about the world through those stories, those mythologies passed down, taught to us in that peer group. And you look around the world, you just see how goofy it can get. You see how crazy it can get. CNN did that whole thing about that rape academy, this website with a bunch of men going to visit to talk about, fetishize, and support each other in rape with girlfriends or with their wives. Um, and there's a whole economy in there. There's all these people visiting this website. And you want to say, yo, some of these people in there have to learn to be disliked. You are in a group where the values you've organized together have set y'all up awkwardly, and you meet, and you might need to learn to be disliked so you can get out. MAGA, have a conversation with MAGA people, man, and we talk about immigration, and they come with all these statistics that are wrong because they watch Fox News and they watch, News Nation and shit like this, and they come with these statistics, these stories that are given to them about the threat of immigration. And if you sit down and have a conversation, if you go to the FBI statistics and you really break down immigration and you really show the value that immigrants have given to the country and the historical, value, um, you get to this point, and I've had this on this topic and a few others where a dude will say, I'm not a lefty though. They might agree with you, they might start to see what you're saying, they might really be challenged, and then they sort of have this jerk reaction and they say, I'm not a lefty, because I think identity wise, there's a whole, if they start to go down this path, if they start to think differently, if they start to see queer people differently and not to see them as the, as a separate problematic story that they've been given from Fox News, if they start to learn that there are different types of humans, it would challenge too much. It would not just challenge their identity. They might have to, in those rooms that they typically, what I'm saying, that everyone agreed on these terms, they might have to challenge that. They might have to say something. They might start to feel awkward. And, no one wants to say anything. No one wants to be disliked. No one wants to be a disappointment. As I said yesterday, you know what I'm saying? The son of Netanyahu, the murderous war criminal. You would hope that this guy would have this young person has the ability to be disliked. You imagine that he's being rewarded for his willingness to participate in this whole thing. He's the son of the prime minister and very wartime, and we've got to kill people in Lebanon and all this stuff. And you say, being a son like that, being in that environment, it's sort of a trap in a way. I mean, it's powerfully a trap. It's powerfully lots of forces convening on you, and like I said, this agreement about language, about the terms of what the reality is. And you have to hold out hope that people in these environments, whether it's young boys with, you know, Andrew Tate type people who are insistent that women deserve to be mistreated, or Zionists who believe that they're special and that international law doesn't apply to them, or MAGA people who are taught that the left is destructive and violent, and the left, and they have to attack the left. You ask them to define the left, they can't even define the left, but they know that there's a left. They know that there's a left that is the problem, and we have to storm the Capitol or fucking whatever, raise money for Donald Trump, or buy his new cell phone thing. And like, someone has to be an adult and learn how to be a disappointment in these settings. Let them dislike you. Let them dislike you. What if you tell yourself that you're an adult since 18, but you're not? What if adulthood is more than just an age number? What if the 18-year-old adulthood designation is something we do for voting? 21 is something we do for drinking. But that these numbers are nonsense and superfluous. They don't tell us about the nature of the person. They don't tell us about the brain functioning, the person's connection to what is, the person's connection to God. We're all in these groups. You got to learn to be disliked. You got to be a disappointment to these projects that we were born into. You got to learn to let them dislike you. Imagine staying a party to things that you know are ridiculous, and they don't even sit right with you. They don't even, you know better, but we've been taught these rules and such. I can speak to this, man. I was taught that, you know, you keep that network as wide as possible, and you have to be as inoffensive as possible. You know, white people are always looking for a reason to dislike you. You need to make sure that you're quite likable and inoffensive and inoffensive. What's the other word I'm looking for? Just, you know, don't go out on the limb. Don't express your opinions in any real way. Be likable. Be likable. There's a benefit to that. There's a benefit to that. To be likable, to be charming or charismatic, that's a good skill to have. But as I've said before, there's something about balance, and there's something about the nature of what is and this experience. And I think we're always being called to move and shift and adapt with an ever-changing reality. You know what I'm saying? And that reality, somehow it's built first by us. And then, as I've said before, if you've built up this, this acceptance, this willingness to support and be accepting of everyone, this will go as far as it can, and you will start to, you know, those people who consider themselves like supporters and good, kind, supporting people, they often feel they'll feel like they don't get supported themselves, right? So you keep going down this path. You've defined yourself a certain way, even in a good way. You go through experiences, and the world will hit a point where it's asking you to set your boundaries. It's asking you to shift and move differently, because you can't do that in perpetuity. Or you have caused your own suffering if you commit to the idea that you have to be the so you have to shift. So whatever it is, whatever rooms that we've been born into, whatever our identities, white, black, men, woman, male, female, whatever nationality, whatever religion, you gotta let motherfuckers dislike you, yo. You gotta be able to say, and I can see why children don't quite often do this. Children are grasping for the world. The world, everything is new to them. and the parents and the peers give a grounding for what is normal and what is, you know what I'm saying, or what makes sense, you know what I'm saying? And then at some point, um, the adult lets go. The adult learns that they don't have to be, you know what I'm saying? Like they don't have to make these kinds of adjustments. Um, that there are things worth standing for, and there are things that you're different. Fuck, worth standing for has this, like, that's one thing. Like, you're different. Like, you are different. You have a uniqueness that is valuable, and that you don't have to subvert that uniqueness for anyone. And you mustn't somehow, if somehow on a level that is hard to see and hard to measure, or somehow I think the more of us that are sort of empowered and to integrate that intuition and to embody it, that some stuff, all kinds of stuff happens. You know how I know that? Because this world is the product of certain people asserting themselves, and certain things, lots of people subverting to those assertions and letting things be and agreeing. And the moment that changes, it changes. The moment it changes, it changes. The moment the agreements are different, it changes. The moment people in young boys in chat rooms find it disgusting and laugh at the guy who shares the Andrew Tate video, then the whole game is different. But that person might be a pioneer, right? They might be in a group where Andrew Tate is considered somebody fantastic. So you got like, what, you know what I'm saying? Like, let them dislike you, yo. Let them dislike you. Fuck them, man. Super important. Super important. Now you think that everything that you're a part of, you're like, I don't have any. I'm not in any shitty groups. Everything I believe in makes total sense. every partnership and agreement is entirely logically coherent, morally sound, appropriate. I'm doing what I want, all this stuff. We don't even realize. Because if you don't spend time actually with yourself, if you don't spend time actually getting to know and actually accepting yourself, you don't even realize. So this whole time you could be thinking, yeah, and I'm myself all the time. That's actually I'm myself. But you're not yourself. You don't know what yourself is actually. This is a whole thing. We've talked about this in another episode. Check it out in the authenticity playlist on this very YouTube channel. Without that effort to know oneself, the way our self concept is actually, like I said, a trap potentially, or a prison. The self concept is something you might be robotically following out of habit, and it can feel real enough. And it's just a good rule of thumb to break patterns, you know what I'm saying? Especially if you want something new. If you want something new, you want something different, become adept at noticing a holding pattern and breaking that pattern. And sometimes one of the most challenging things, I can speak to this personally, is to realize that, yeah, if you change, and when you change that pattern, you will be disliked. You might be disliked. You might develop a hater, or fuck a hater, because hater has this sort of, like, I'm moaning about it. Like, it's all good. People might not appreciate the change and the new you and your new approach and your new perspective. or not even a new perspective, the perspective you've always had, but that you are now vocalizing it, that you are now embodying it. They may not like that. But that's too bad because you are the operant power. So let them hate. I'll see you tomorrow. Subscribe.